So deep in Arizona's Tonto National Forest, the air is thin and dry. Trails wind through rock and pine, where cell service disappears and sound carries for miles. In late May 2025, two teens went missing in those mountains. Evan Clark, 17 years old, and Pandora Kulsrud, 18. Now, just because I feel like my pronunciation still isn't the best, I will be making sure that I go by just first names out of respect because, I'd rather use first names and butcher a last name and seem kind of evil that way. But what began as a weekend adventure ended in tragedy, and unfortunately, their story is still unfolding.
This one feels different, man. Usually, by the time we talk about a case, it's wrapped up. This one, it's open. No clear suspects, no motives, just two kids dead on a mountain.
Which kind of leads into the whole what kind of sick fuck is just out there trying to get rid of kids. Seems to be happening way too damn often. But tonight,
That's always been the story, though. There's always, as long as times existed, there's always probably been that.
oh yeah, for sure. And that puts us walking the trail ourselves into the shadows on Mount Ord. So Mount Ord rises from the high desert about 60 miles northeast of Phoenix. It's remote, rugged, and the kind of place hikers describe as peaceful until sundown. Now, Evan and Pandora were actually both students still at a place called Arcadia High School. Friends say they love the outdoors, music, and adventure.
And from what I read, they weren't reckless. They were very cautious. They were the type sneaking out to do something crazy. They never did that. This was supposed to be a normal camping weekend for them.
Which makes you wonder what happened. Now, on May 25th, they had both texted friends saying that they were heading towards the mountain to go explore, which seems like a fairly reasonable thing for kids that age. But 2 days later, their phones went silent. And then, unfortunately, by May 27th, search teams were called in.
That is truly terrifying and unfortunate. But I mean, you have to think about it like from the family standpoint. You know how terrifying that must be for them? Two kids, they're smart, they're capable, just gone.
I know as a, parent myself, that's my worst fucking nightmare. Thinking about that shit and, our hearts go out to the families of those that this has happened to. And, I couldn't even imagine. I know what would happen if one of my children ended up disappearing. I would more than likely end up getting arrested at some point because I would want to find the person that did it and do the same shit to them.
Yeah, that's kind of everybody's feeling as a parent. It's really hard to think like, what would I do if that happened to my child? It's just a terrible scenario that no parent actually ever wants to think about.
Yeah, and unfortunately, it's as you said, it's been around for a while. The shit's been happening for since cavemen and women, I'm sure, but it's something that seems to be getting more and more prevalent as the years go on. And unfortunately, I don't know if it's just whoever's doing it is, oh, kids are an easy target, or what the hell it is, but something isn't right.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, monsters are monsters.
That is true. Now, search and rescue did comb a remote service road off State Route 87. That's where they actually found a car parked on the shoulder that did belong to Evan. Nearby, about 200 yards into the brush, is where they made the gruesome discovery of the bodies of both teens.
Shit. Let me guess. Gunshot wounds, right?
Unfortunately, the Maricopa County Sheriff's Office confirmed both deaths were from gunfire, ruled as homicides. And on top of that, which is again alarming, there were no obvious signs of robbery or animal attack.
So just speculating on my end. So whoever did this had time. They took them off guard.
It had to have been because right after that, it seems like they just disappeared without a fucking trace.
Honestly, dude, that's fucking every parent's worst nightmare. That's fucking terrifying.
It definitely makes it hard to, want to let your kids go out and do random shit because you never know what the fuck can happen. like I said, it's times are getting extremely dangerous, and none of that shit has been improving lately. If anything, it's been on the decline where it's just getting worse and worse.
Yeah, dude. Honestly, it's terrifying. I think just how like this can happen out of nowhere. I saw an interview with one of Pandora's classmates, and she said that they thought that they were just off camping, and then the cops were called, and that's how sudden all of this was.
Which makes it chilling because there's no pattern, no warning, no suspect, just loss in an empty place. That's not something that feels good or comforting, just having that. Like,
Yeah.
even if they had answers, it would still be a terrible thing. But I think it would be better to at least know what happened or
hmm
why it happened than just nothing.
Honestly, because it's what the part of like whenever this happens and we read about it, and I know we've done thousands of stories like this, but no story is ever the same. The part that's terrifying about it is the subtlety of everything, just how sudden everything was. Because they just went hiking, they're minding their own business. Like, it's not like it's fucking gang violence where you can track it back. Like, hey, this person has beef with this people, and these people are clearly the ones that did this. These are just two kids that were out camping.
Yeah, just trying to have fun and be kids. I mean, I remember exploring, again, this was a very long time ago, but when I was a kid, I remember going out and exploring random areas in the desert and wandering around. And, yeah, you had to worry about creeps, but like I said, it wasn't this fucking bad back then. Like, you could wander around and not have to worry about getting murdered as
Oh yeah,
often.
oh yeah, for sure. That was the thing. Like, that was the big thing. Like, your parents were like, you're not spending time inside. Go outside, go explore. Just come back before it's dark. Even back then, there was shit like this going on, but like you said, it seems to be more prevalent now.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. And then to top that all off, so detectives from Maricopa County and the Gila County Sheriff's Office were working jointly together, and forensics actually confirmed the shots came from a small caliber weapon, but no shell casings were recovered.
No casings. So they were either picking them up or ejecting them somewhere else. This feels really deliberate.
I would say it has to be picked up because even when, you're out shooting, and yeah, those casings, when they eject, they can kind of go sporadic as far as distance. And, if they go a little more forward, a little more backward. But yeah, to have nothing found, like, it's got to be deliberate. Like, I wholeheartedly agree on that. And it points to an organized shooter or the possibility of someone using a revolver, as those casings don't get ejected until you have fired every round in the cylinder. And then, you go from there on a reload. They had search dogs, drones, and over 100 hours of aerial scans. But still, even with that time, effort, resources, and everything, no firearm, no footprints, not even a fucking digital trail.
And that's what's wild about like modern investigations. Most killers leave a breadcrumb somewhere, like phone pings, camera footage, something. In this case, there was literally nothing.
And that just feeds into, people are starting to, I don't want to say get good at this shit, but get good at this shit. Like, it's terrifying that something like this can happen and still be, being investigated with nothing to fucking go off of. Like, cold cases back in the day, yes, I could understand that when they didn't have the technology, but what's the fucking excuse now? And it's not for a lack of trying, because I mean, again, all that time, effort, different searches, but something's gotta fucking give, man. Something's gotta be done. Something's gotta give. Something's gotta be able to be created to help this kind of situation. Like, fucking something.
Yeah, I think that's what the with like everything being so prevalent and like everything just being out there now, like podcasts and fucking like the docu series and just even like documentaries on YouTube. They tell them like, oh well, they tracked them down because of this. Like they pinged their cell phone by towers or this happened. So people that watch that have bad intentions, they're like, oh well, if I'm gonna kill somebody, I better take the battery out of my phone. And I feel like that helps a lot of people, and that's the reason why we have a lot of cold cases like that, because people like they watch the shows, they hear the podcast, so they're kind of getting better at being able to hide their tracks now because they know what the cops are looking for.
Unfortunately. And, I don't think I've ever heard this kind of disclaimer in a podcast that does, true crime, true horror, true paranormal shit. But I will gladly say it. We definitely do not do anything that we do to glorify any of this shit. Our purpose is to inform the people of what is going on, things that you could possibly look out for. That way, hopefully, this kind of stuff does not get repeated, because it's a tragedy, it's a travesty, it's just overall fucking disgusting. But unfortunately, when it comes to this case, the terrain definitely complicates everything. You have steep canyons, dry washes, because, we're the fucking desert and we hardly ever get fucking rain, loose gravel, and you had investigators describing it as looking for clues in a sandbox. Imagine that shit, dude, trying to find clues, the smallest of clues, in a giant ass sandbox.
Yeah, for sure, dude. And on top of that, like you gotta start asking questions like, what, who was it? Like, I know that's the whole point of an investigation, like figuring out what happened, but so many questions. Like, could have been a stranger, could have been somebody that they met online, or maybe a random encounter gone bad. Road rage, territorial hikers. It could be anything. It could be anyone.
Oh, it could. And, it doesn't help that people these days, everyone is quick to go to the most extreme ends of things. Like,
Yeah,
back in the day, okay, you had a road rage incident, you might get out, fist fight. When it's done, whoever won that shit, you're off on your way. Like, I
yeah,
don't get what fucking happened to, I'm sorry, I'm going to say it if people don't like hearing this shit, too bad, but nowadays everyone's turned into a bunch of fucking candy ass sissies these days. Like, it's, oh, where's my knife? Where's my gun? I have a gun on me 24 fucking 7. But if you're coming at me with a fist, I'm not using the fucking firearm. I am going to fist fight you. Win or
yeah.
lose, it is what it is. Why does a life need to be taken when you could box it the fuck out and they're problem solved? The person that was going to win won. You go about your way. You never see each other again. Or maybe you do and you buy each other a fucking drink. Oh, remember when we did that stupid ass fight over you cutting me off and blah, blah, blah. Like, shit can be handled in so many different ways.
Yeah, everybody's quick to pull a gun nowadays. And that's the fucking really terrifying part about just anywhere, honestly. It doesn't have to be just where we're at. It's it's a real sad fact that nobody wants to take their licks and everybody's like, well, I have a gun. Like, so do I. It's always ends badly.
And that's just irresponsible ownership. I mean, one of the biggest rules in firearms is you do not point it at something you're not willing to destroy. Is you cutting me off so fucking horrific that, I flip you off and you get upset about it and start getting out and want to pull a fucking gun or whatever? Like, is that really that important in your day that you feel you need to do that cardinal fucking sin about pointing the gun at something that, you're only ready to fucking end and destroy? Like, again, it's just irresponsible fucking people behind a fucking tool. It's fucking crazy.
Yeah.
But I mean, with all theories on the table, unfortunately, nothing's confirmed. Now, back in Phoenix, vigils began almost immediately. Classmates brought flowers to Arcadia High School, and teachers described the two as inseparable, bright, funny, and full of life, love, and laughter.
You can really feel the heartbreak just reading all the posts. Everybody's comments were just like that they should have been safe and that they still wish that they were here. But at the end of the day, that's unfortunately not the case.
Yeah. And that's why I always say, if you're a parent, and now, mind you, there's a difference between, just taking the title and being an actual fucking parent. But, you should enjoy every single moment you have with your family. Cherish every single fucking moment. the good, the bad, because unfortunately, you never know when it's going to be taken away, if it's going to be taken away. And the last thing you want to do as a parent is, just ignore your kids or treat them like they don't fucking exist. And I know there's some parents out there that do that kind of shit. They just got them and they're used as tools for benefit or, help and profit as opposed to what they actually are. But unfortunately, the investigation hasn't named a suspect publicly yet, and that's made things even worse for the families because there's no fucking closure, just waiting.
Yeah, dude, honestly, I remember when this hit the news, people were speculating like crazy. They thought it was like either serial killers, militia activity. I even heard shit about it being like cults and stuff like that, which I think everybody, when there's no clear answer, there's no clear suspect, everybody jumps to whatever first comes to their mind.
Well, and that's the thing. Like these are the top most speculated things. I believe. Everything is always it's a serial killer. With the way the world is going and people actually arming themselves and training, it goes to, oh, did a militia do it? But if you're talking about what a true militia is, yes, they do have, depending, their bad ties, but they're not about just, oh, we're going to kill these kids. Like they typically, although, yes, a lot of times they do still kill innocent people, they kill with typically a purpose or ideal, be it their own, doesn't make it right, doesn't make it justifiable, but to them, they have a purpose. But I've never heard of militias just going out and fucking killing random kids. And then with cults, that's another one where everyone's just like, oh, well, Satan, oh, the devil, oh, a demon. Like, I'm sorry, but that can't always be your fucking scapegoat, I don't get it, man. I don't get it.
Yeah, that's
What
just
do
kind
you
of
think it is?
honestly, I think it's just a crazy person. Maybe it was road rage, which around these parts, we know we don't have the best drivers.
Oh, yeah.
But I've had like, even myself, like a couple weeks back, I had an instant of road rage when I was driving. I was going slightly above the speed limit, and the car behind me was like tailing me, and they were getting closer, and I was like, what the hell are they doing? They started doing like hand gestures and fucking flashing their lights. I was like, I'm going the speed limit. And I had my nieces and nephews in the car with me, and I was like, what the fuck are you doing? I was like, go around. And it was bad. I was like, what the hell is going on here? But honestly, I think it might just be road rage or just like a crazy person they came across. We also got a lot of those here.
Yeah. I wouldn't put it past some fucking druggie who, took the opportunity to say, oh, can I kill them, take their shit, and go get my fucking fix? Because we know, unfortunately, fentanyl and a bunch of other shit is now just fucking commonplace, and law
Yeah.
enforcement and them don't do a goddamn thing about it. So I do want to say, if law enforcement ever hears this, get to fucking work, you lazy sons of bitches. Thank you. But all in all, and again, that's not all law enforcement. There are a lot of good ones out there, but lately it seems everyone's been a lot more lax on things they shouldn't be. But all this speculation and theories are actually a little bit dangerous because it can turn that grief into just gossip. And, gossip is never a good thing. Now, sheriff's officials have said repeatedly that no verified link to other crimes have been found and no evidence of a serial pattern has been discovered.
But I mean, still, I I know everybody, like you said, they jump to stuff, and most of the time they jump to like superstition because the mountain now has a reputation. Sorry, you call it hikers. They call it cursed. Just online.
Well, I mean, if you think about it, fear can sometimes fill the silence left by facts. And I mean, I can't speak to that mountain because I've never been there, but like Mount Lemon, there's some times where we've gone up to Ski Valley and seen some creepy shit that almost makes you wonder what kind of weird stuff goes on up there. Or I guess you could say creepy slash dangerous, but that goes on that no one ever discovers.
Yeah, I've heard some stuff about Mount Lemon being fairly haunted. My my lady's friend has a cabin up there,
Mhm.
and he like loans it out to like his friends and whatnot. and she had stayed there once, I think, before we had started dating. And she said through the whole night, it sounded like somebody was like running upstairs, and that the
Oh
doors
shit.
were opening and closing. I was like, that's spooky.
So are we going to try and go do an investigation at that cabin?
So I refuse.
Come on, baby bubble. I'll protect you.
No, you won't.
Oh, I wouldn't let you die.
You better not. She'd be mad.
Well, I mean, not only that, but I wouldn't have anyone to go do random cool shit with. I need my bro there.
We're gonna bro down by some ghosts.
Fuck yeah. That's the only way to do it, man. But to understand how something like this can happen, you kind of have to be able to picture the landscape. So allow me to paint a picture for your mind. Mount Ord is a dense pine forest above 7,000 feet with long stretches of no signal. And at night, temperatures drop fast. Coyotes are constantly calling from the ridges. And the one beautiful thing is the stars drown out everything else.
Yeah, dude, that's basically isolation. It's both beautiful and terrifying. You feel tiny, kind of like anything could happen and no one would ever know.
Exactly. And when law enforcement says remote, they mean a place where a shout dies before it travels 20 yards. That's where Evan and Pandora spent their last night.
Not to be morbid or anything, but we read stories like this, you really have to think about like, do you ever really wonder what their final thoughts were? Maybe they heard something in the dark, maybe they saw headlights, and then just nothing.
Unfortunately, we can't know, but the mountain remembers. And I know every time we hear one of these stories, that is the first thing that goes into my head, trying to put myself into what their final moments could have been like. And it's not for some weird fascination. It's not for anything other than to try and just get a sense of the unfortunate experience and hope that by doing so, I can give as much respect to the deceased as possible, because that's the biggest thing. Like, anything we do here is never meant with any malice or disrespect to those that are gone. I mean, again, we do the paranormal. We communicate with those that are deceased. We try to. So, we have the utmost respect for them.
Yeah, everything that we do it to try to be respectful. We never try to insult anybody or disrespect anybody's memory. Honestly, dude, the worst part about this is that it's been months now. There's no arrests, no suspects. Realistically, how does something like this stay so quiet in 2025?
I don't know, man. Maybe it's because the wilderness doesn't keep evidence like cities do. I mean, think about it. The wind can erase footprints. Scavengers scatter anything left behind, be it coyotes, mountain lions, even vultures and other birds of prey. And then on top of that, few cameras exist out there. And majority of the time when there are, they only capture trees swaying, so they don't last very long.
It's almost supernatural how it all happened, just how they vanished.
Yeah, but that's kind of the real horror, isn't it? Like, not ghosts, not monsters, just silence where the truth should be. Now, unfortunately, as of today, which is October 18th, 2025, the case does remain open. The families still wait for answers, and authorities urge anyone who was on Mount Ord that weekend to come forward. And I will agree. If you have any information that could lead to an arrest, to a suspect, to answers for this poor victim's families, please get it to the proper authorities ASAP.
And honestly, we usually wrap our episodes with closure, justice, a verdict. But sometimes the stories, they just end like this, a question mark carved in stone.
Unfortunately, it is. And if you hike those trails, remember them. Evan and Pandora, two lives that never should have ended where the sky meets the desert.
And just a friendly reminder from us here at Tales from Alheim. If you're heading out that way, stay on the path, check in, don't go alone.
Please stay safe. And He's right. Check in. Nowadays, most newer phones have, emergency SOS stuff. If you need to ping out your location, do it because we want everybody to make it back safely. From the high pines of Arizona to the dark corners of the human heart, this has been another episode of Tales from Helheim. Until the next time, stay safe and keep your light burning.